Hey, and welcome to another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. Today, I'm going to talk about the unseen strategy when it comes to scaling your business and also improving things that are happening in your life right now. I think this is something that is just not talked about enough. And I know I've talked about energetic alignment in a lot of episodes recently. If you haven't checked them out, make sure that you go back to some previous episodes. But the unseen strategy, the tool that is the difference between people building a thriving business and those staying stuck, feeling like they're doing all of the things and it not helping them to move forwards. It's their intuition. It's the subconscious mind, which is the most powerful tool that we all have as individuals that will help to guide us into the right strategies, the right paths, decisions, and actions that we should take that are actually in alignment with what we're all about. We are all individual. We're all different. There are no cookie cutter strategies that are going to work for everybody because what works for one person might not work for somebody else because actually it's not in alignment with what it is that you desire. So if you've ever invested in a coach or a mentor or done a course or a program or anything like that, and you feel like you're seeing other people getting results, and for some reason, despite taking the actions, you just can't seem to get the results for yourself, or you find you join these things and that you're not taking the action. You know you need to take action to get results, but there's something in you, there's a resistance there that is actually stopping you from taking the action you're being told to take. Now, usually that is a sign that it's not in alignment to you. It's not actually an action that feels good to you and is aligned to your values, the vision that you have for yourself, and that is where you can create that resistance, and it means that it's so much harder to get the results. So I wanted to talk today because there is so much noise. Like when you are building a business online, there is noise everywhere. You are getting told to sign up to that next freebie, to watch that masterclass, to join that free challenge, to buy this particular course or this program. This one thing is going to change everything for you. This one thing is going to change everything for you. There's just so much noise and things to be looking at, things to be investing in, and decisions to make as a business owner. It can feel very overwhelming. And before you know it, you're in a place where you're just being bombarded left, right, and center, and you just don't know what next step to take. So, this episode is for you. So, I would love to know, and I know this has happened for you because it happens to everybody, but have you ever had that random thought that pops into your head? It might be an idea, a feeling, kind of a knowing, and you ignored it, only to later realize that actually that thought that popped into your head was spot on. That thought, and sometimes these happen in the middle of the night when you wake up or when you're lying in bed, can't go to sleep, and you've got these thoughts all running through your mind, because that is when your subconscious mind is most active. It's when we're taking in so much information and our brains are like absorbing loads and loads of stuff, basically. So, this is why doing anything like visualization, manifestation, listening to audios that are helping you to manifest what it is you desire, they always recommend you do it in the like 5 minutes before you fall asleep because that is where your subconscious mind is most active. Now, when you get these ideas or these downloads, these light bulb moments, whatever it is, that is your intuition that is speaking. So, in today's episode, I want to dive into the power of your intuitive decision making and the subconscious mind because those are the little nudges that you're getting. They're not random. They're actually a really key part to your next move. And it's the unseen strategy that so many business owners neglect or don't even realize is a thing that is blocking them to achieve the things that they want. So let's dive in to today's episode. Now, what is intuition? And how does it actually show up? So, intuition, this is not woo woo. And I know some people listening to this is that might be thinking, oh my God, she's gone off for one, she's gone all woo. It's not. Your subconscious mind, this is a scientific fact that it's there. This is like a processing and a deep inner knowing that is wired in your brain. Our brains are our computer system. So every experience, every conversation, every emotion, feeling, interaction, everything that happens during our lifetime is stored in our computer system, in our brains. And it's why they say the most important stage of development is between birth or even before birth, because obviously in the womb we're still absorbing and hearing things and sensing feelings, emotions, like all of these things. But between the ages of birth and 7 are when we have these kind of blueprints. This is where all of the things we're experiencing in that stage actually form our beliefs going into adulthood. So, as an example, you've got people that are terrified of dogs. Usually, that links back to an experience they had between the ages of 0 and 7, whether they got chased, jumped up at, barked at, like whatever it is. And that experience has created a program in that person's brain that dogs are scary, and it goes into their adulthood. So, your intuition is a real mix of the experience, your subconscious processing, and your deep inner knowing. So it's the difference between fear-based thoughts versus true intuitive downloads. So when you have fear-based thoughts, these are, like I said, it's those things that have happened to you between normally the first 7 years of your life, and that is linked to anything that happened in that stage. So it could be a conversation you overheard that might have turned into an argument. You would have then associated whatever that argument was about with that item or that object or that thing as being a like a fear, something you should be fearing. So whether it was a conversation you heard as a child around money, let's just say that you witnessed two people having a huge argument around money, that has then caused you to have a fear-based thought around money. So actually, a lot of the time as entrepreneurs, and this happens for so many people because we live in a world where you need money to survive. Like that is a fact. You need money to be able to pay your bills, to have your house, all of these things. And naturally, it is the one biggest thing that couples tend to argue over. So if you imagine the majority of couples at some point will be arguing about money or discussing it in a way that, like, maybe somebody gets upset or something's happened, whatever it is. If you have a child around in that situation, what they're hearing is, I don't want money. Money is scary because it causes this kind of environment, this conversation, which is why it's so important to realize that it's not fact. This is based on fears we have developed as a child that have gone into our adulthood. Now, I'm not going to go into this in like a huge amount of detail. This is kind of just to give you an idea of what that means by fear-based thoughts. Your true intuitive downloads, these are those ideas that pop into your head that are your subconscious mind speaking. And they are those feelings, it's a knowing, it's an idea that is in total alignment to you. This is something that your higher self, whatever you want to call it, is actually you that they're giving you a message. You are getting a message from your own subconscious mind that is totally aligned to you. So what a lot of people do is they tend to ignore them. They tend to ignore these thoughts and just think, oh, that's a bit weird. Like that just popped into my head, or oh, that sounds like quite a cool idea, but they're never actually actioning it. Now, what I recommend doing when you get those ideas is actually writing it down. And this it might literally be the very initial spark of an idea that could lead into an offer, a decision you're going to make, like something you're going to change in your life, whatever it is. It might be you get a full idea of, oh my God, this is the offer, this is how it's going to work, this is how I'm going to launch it, like all of this. So you're going to get different levels of these, what I call downloads. And this is your subconscious mind giving you a message into this is something that's actually in real alignment to us. This is a decision we should be looking into because this is what we were born to do. This is what we were meant to be doing. And it's so interesting because when you get those ideas, there's energy behind it. We are all energy. Everything we put out there is energy, and you can feel energy off other people. So when somebody launches an offer that they feel like they should be launching, rather than what they feel like they want to be launching, there is a different energy behind it. And usually, what happens is when you put something out that you feel like it's the right thing to do because that course or that coach told you to do it, and this is what's going to happen, blah blah blah, there's a resistance. There's actually an energetic block when you're putting that out there because you don't truly believe in it. There is something that isn't aligned to you. It's not actually what you want to be doing. Now, what you can do is you can do all the things. You can have all the automation, all of the content, all of the messaging, like everything. But if your energy isn't aligned to it, you're actually causing a block. You're making it difficult for people to want to jump into it because they can feel your energy. And this isn't an in-person thing. This is through your content. This is through how you're speaking in your content, how you're showing up. It is felt. Energy is felt. It's the energy that you're creating your content in that moment when you're writing it, even if you're scheduling it for the future. It's how it creates a ripple effect. So the energy that you're creating your content in is a huge factor into whether something is going to land, whether it is going to get bought, whether it is going to be successful, like all of these things. So if you then imagine you've got an idea that popped into your head that is your subconscious mind telling you, this is a really cool idea. This is totally in alignment to what it is we're all about and what we want to be doing. You launch that with excitement. The energy is totally different to the other offer. And what will happen is people will feel that energy and people are magnetized to that kind of energy. So what will happen is that offer that you're putting out there, perhaps it doesn't even have all the automation and everything, but you're excited about it. You're putting something out there to the world and people are like, "Oh my God, I want to join that party. I want to go to that event, or I want to sign up to that offer or find out more about it because actually I can feel that energy. It's magnetizing me into it." That is the difference. So when you get these intuitive downloads, that is when you should be acting on them. Write them down. Maybe you need to journal on them. Think about how they could work, how you could actually incorporate that into your daily practices, into your life, into your business. Put it on a piece of paper. Get it out of your head onto paper because that in itself is an action. You're actually taking action on that subconscious download. So your body reacts in a different way as well when something is right or when it feels a bit off. So you might get like chills, you might get butterflies in your stomach, or you might even create and have an instant resistance. So this could be when you are, let's just picture you are at an event and you're having a conversation with somebody and they're saying all the right things, but there's something in you that is saying, I'm not sure I trust this person. I'm not sure I believe what it is they're saying. They're saying everything right, but there's something in their energy that just doesn't feel right to me. It's not like flowing. So it's kind of like you imagine if you were on a date with somebody, you just get a feeling, don't you? That is your subconscious mind. That is your intuition feeling into energy. You know when something is the right fit because we have this sense that allows us to detect whether something is safe or not, when something feels exciting and when it doesn't feel exciting, when it is something we should be perhaps staying away from or leaning back from or leaning into. And that's the whole thing with creating ideas and taking aligned action. It's about helping your audience and your dream clients leaning into whatever it is that you are putting out there. Because when you are coming from a place of lack or scarcity, or you need something to work through desperation, your energy is so off. And what you're doing is you're kind of forcing something out there, hoping it's going to land. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, where you're just going to chuck something out there, hope it works. If it doesn't, you just chuck something else out there and hope that works as well. And people can feel it in your energy, which is why it's so important to take aligned action that feels good and allow yourself space to think about it. You don't have to keep launching one thing after another unless it feels good. So I am in the at the moment in my business. So it is February 2025. And at the moment, I'm getting a lot of downloads because I am leveling up. I'm actually discovering more about myself. I'm doing more human design work and alignment and all of this kind of stuff. So I am naturally, because I'm tapping into my subconscious mind a lot more, I'm getting a lot of these downloads. I'm getting a lot of ideas and I'm running with them. So The past version of me, definitely, if something didn't work, I'd be launching something else. And I was literally, my coaches would say to me, Jackie, you're chucking spaghetti at the wall. Like you're literally just throwing anything out there, hoping it works. If it doesn't, okay, let's forget that one. Let's put something else out. That is where I was coming from. And it was coming from a place of need and desperation. I so wanted something to work. I so wanted to have that amazing launch. And for some reason, there were launches that I put out there that just didn't work. And now I know about the subconscious mind and following your intuition. And I now only launch something that feels good to me. That doesn't mean it's always going to work, but it means it feels good. You know, you're coming from a place of alignment when you are actually taking action on things that feel good to you, that are aligned to your values, your vision, and your mission. And equally, there are always lessons that you can take. So if you put something out there that doesn't work, there's always something you can take from it. There is always a lesson to learn. There is always something that you can shift and change for when you do something else. And the previous version of me would never have thought that. I would have seen every launch I put out that didn't work as a fail. So I just had multiple fails, just adding up on this list, just basically giving myself proof that I wasn't good enough. And that is exactly what happens. And it has a huge knock on your confidence, on your kind of your ability to have the right energy when you put another offer out, because already you're telling yourself, well, this probably isn't going to work either because the last thing didn't work, but well, let's just chuck it out there and see what happens. That is the wrong energy to be launching anything. If you ever have that energy, please pause, take a step back and ask yourself, is this actually an alignment to me? So it's about creating that flow and helping you to really identify how your intuition is giving you cues all the time. So, those feelings you get in your body, those thoughts that are popping into your head, and there's a difference between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. So, your conscious mind is very sort of fact driven. So it will be reminding you of things that didn't work in the past. It will be reminding you of all the negative things in your life because our brains are actually designed to focus on the negatives to keep us safe. But when you actually lean into what feels good to you, following your intuition, that is where you can get a really good sort of sense as to whether something is the right or the wrong decision. One really useful tip actually is thinking about whether something feels good and where you feel it in your body. Because when you are trying to put something out there, when you're taking action, and it might be something personal, maybe you've been invited to an event and you're not sure if you want to go. When you think to yourself, okay, there's this event, I don't know if I want to go to it, how would you feel if you were at the event? Like, what feelings is it actually bringing up for you if you were to say yes to going to that event? And whereabouts in your body are you feeling it? Because that is going to give you an indication of whether it is a kind of good decision to make or one that perhaps maybe you need to think about or just say no to. You can say no. That is a huge thing that I had to learn because I was a people pleaser. I wanted to say yes to everybody and I over delivered and I was always putting everybody else before myself because I so wanted other people to have a good experience around me, whether that was a friend or family member or a client or a colleague, like whoever it was, I would always put everybody else before me because I wanted other people to feel good or to get the results or to thrive or to get what it was that they were looking for more than myself. So thinking about your subconscious mind and how it works, your subconscious mind is always working even when you're not consciously thinking about something. So it is always there to guide you. And the thing is, you can actually ask yourself questions. You can actually ask out loud. And I do this all the time. People must think I'm an absolute lunatic. But I ask myself questions all the time. I ask myself, like, does this feel aligned? If I was to launch this offer, does this feel good to me? Is this actually in alignment to what it is that I should be doing? And thinking about where I feel it. If I feel it in my gut or in my heart, in my chest, usually, like for me, because everyone's different, but for me, that is a sign that yes, it is the right decision. If I feel it in my head, because our heads are designed to focus on negatives and to keep us safe and to like, oh, don't do that because you've not actually got experience of that thing before. That is usually a sign of, okay, that's my head trying to keep me safe, but actually the right decision is saying yes to this or is launching this particular thing. So that's a really good way of looking into how your subconscious mind is guiding you. Now, the thing is, your subconscious mind is active all the time, but it's most sort of noticeable. You notice these thoughts and these inner, your sort of intuition guiding you and giving you little prompts when you're switched off from doing your normal daily activity. And when I say your normal daily activity, I mean when you're in the kind of focus mode. So when you're working with a client or when you are working on a project or you're doing something that requires your brain to be focusing on that one thing, your subconscious mind is still working, but you're less likely to get those moments, those little prompts that will pop up into your head because your brain is so occupied on concentrating on that particular activity. And it's the exact reason why, especially as entrepreneurs, because our brains are very sort of active, that when you are in the shower, when you are out on a walk, or when you're lying in bed, or when you are switching off, maybe you're sitting in the garden, maybe you're on holiday, that is where we get our most downloads. That is where your subconscious mind is coming right into play and giving you so many of these prompts, which is why entrepreneurs always say you can't fully switch off because when you do, that is where you get your best ideas because you're allowing yourself space for your subconscious mind to give you those prompts and to guide you into decisions, ideas, suggestions that you could actually implement that are totally in alignment with what it is that you're doing. And these are always the best ideas when you run with them. So I always make sure if I'm going on holiday or if I'm out on a walk and I get these ideas, I either write it down or I voice note it in my notes in my phone, just so that I've got a space where I can put my subconscious mind, like my downloads, my higher self download, like whatever you want to call it. That is where you want to put those ideas, and you want to look at those ideas later. You want to look at them, each one, and just think, okay, like how could I actually take an action on this? What could I do? Like, is it an idea for you want to host an event? Okay, if you want to host an event, what does that event look like? What are you actually going to do? Like, thinking into all of these different ideas because these ideas pop into your head when you're not in active, like on mode. And these are always the best ideas to go with. You can use it to your advantage by thinking about them before you go to sleep. So, like I said before, the 5 minutes before you fall asleep is where your subconscious mind is most active. And this is where people that are really into manifestation will do most of their manifesting work. So, thinking about what it is that you want, feeling in your body what that feels like once you have achieved your goals. So, whether you are listening to an audio, whether you are doing a kind of visualization practice, whatever it looks like, if you do that before bed, that is where your brain is most sort of, it's like a sponge basically. So, use this time to your advantage by any of those downloads you've perhaps had during the day. Think about them before bed and maybe start visualizing what that particular idea looks like just before you fall asleep. Because what will probably happen is you'll then either dream about it or you'll get another download about how that could work. And you'll probably wake up with an even better idea that will maybe it will be linked to that, maybe it'll be something totally different. But that's a really good way of using it to your advantage to really sort of feed your subconscious mind and help that to guide you with any decision making in your business. And like I said, this works for your business and your life as well. So if anything is happening in your life right now where you just feel like there's something that's just not in alignment, you feel like you're kind of a hamster on a hamster wheel and you're just doing the same thing day after day after day, and you just feel like there's something missing. This is where you can allow yourself that space to think, okay, what do I want? Actually ask yourself, what do I want? Because that is where you're going to help yourself to bring that subconscious mind to your sort of present moment and give you those prompts. Like allow yourself that space, clear out the noise, and give yourself, even if it's 2 minutes, if you have to go and lock yourself in the bathroom away from your kids, like whatever you have to do to give yourself that moment of peace, to ask yourself, what is it that you actually want? because that is where you're going to get those sort of intuitive subconscious mind downloads. Quiet the noise. We are in a world where there is just like constant noise all the time. So we've got scrolling, we've got opinions from other people, over researching. We Google everything. So we're constantly drowning out our own inner wisdom, which is our subconscious mind. So anything you can do to just like stop scrolling, stop procrastinating, stop looking on Instagram and Facebook or wherever else you're looking at, is scrolling through TikTok, looking at reel after reel after reel after reel, actually doing you any favors, or is it just like taking up time in your day for absolutely nothing? What could you do that is actually going to give you an action that you can take that is going to improve your life? Because that's what we all want. We all want to live life on our terms, live our best life, create memories, have amazing experiences. You're not going to be able to do that if you're just absorbing all of this noise through social media and just sat looking at your phone. So putting the noise away, like reading a book, listening to a podcast, giving yourself space to think about what it is that you want to be doing, because those actions are are going to help you to live your best life. So some practices that you could perhaps look at doing are things like journaling. Now, if you are someone listening to this that's just like, that's just not for me, that was me. That was me a few years ago. I tried journaling multiple times and could never really get into the flow of it. And then all of a sudden, I made it my sort of challenge to journal every day, and now I'm still journaling today. And this is 4 years on, and I've journaled every single day. And maybe not 4 years, 3 years, I think. It's been an absolute game changer. And the thing is, the more you do it, the more it will flow. And the thing is, it's not like a dear diary, today this happened, today that happened. It's actually about like getting all of your thoughts out of your head. So how are you feeling? What has happened today that has made you feel really good or maybe not so good? Like journal on it, and it depends on what time of day you do it. So I journal in the morning, so I'm actually journaling about how I'm feeling at that moment in time in the morning and what I'm going to be doing that day to make myself feel better or to shift my mood, or what am I going to be leaning into, what offers am I going to be looking at doing, what am I removing that isn't in alignment. Like it's just literally getting all of the thoughts, having a conversation with yourself but on paper. And the reason journaling, like writing it down, is so powerful is because you're actually, when you've got all those thoughts going in your head and you're just sat in your own thoughts thinking about how you feel, but not actually getting those thoughts out of your head onto paper, it's a constant cycle. You're reminding yourself of these thoughts, and you will probably keep thinking of those thoughts multiple times over the course of a day or week or whatever, maybe even every day. So, but the act of getting it out of your head onto paper is you're releasing it. So if there are any particularly negative thoughts, that act of writing is getting it out of your head and onto paper. And that in itself is an energetic shift. You're actually, it's like a detox basically. You're removing negative energy from your head because you're getting it out on paper. And the more you do this, the more it will flow. And one prompt you can ask yourself if you really struggle with journaling, or if you maybe love to and you love to get more prompts, is one question I would recommend starting with is, what is my next move? And then just free write from that. And it might be that you sit there and you pause for a minute and you think, I don't actually know what my next move is. Start with that. Start journaling. I don't know what my next move is. I wish I could come up with something. Like just literally just start journaling, because things flow once you've started tapping into this part of your brain. You will actually answer your own questions. So if you are starting that with, what is my next move? I don't actually know what my next move is, and you're starting with that conversation, you'll actually answer your own questions as you do it. Another thing you can do is meditation and like mindset or mindfulness practices. So getting still so you can actually hear your inner voice, hearing your subconscious mind. So some things that you can try is listening to guided meditations. I find these really helpful and I listen to loads. There's loads on YouTube. So just have a look for like guided meditations. The reason I like these is because I personally, because I've got a very busy brain, my brain is always active. I find having a guided meditation where somebody is telling me what to be looking at, what to be seeing, what to be thinking, like all of this, I find that really helpful than just listening to kind of music or sound because otherwise my brain can go off on a bit of a tangent. But like I said, it depends on what time of day it is, what is going on in my life at that moment in time, what like period I'm on, like during my cycle that month, like all of those things have a really big impact. So guided meditation is really good when my brain's very noisy. If I feel like I can switch off and I can clear my head, then I will listen to a kind of like an audio that is maybe sounds of nature. So the kind of audios that you would hear if you were in a spa. You know, when you're sat in a spa, in the pool or you're having a facial and you've got that really nice sort of soft nature inspired music, like that kind of thing, like the sound of rain, all of that is really good to listen to. And what you can do is ask yourself prompts like, how am I feeling right now? Like, have I got any aches or pains in my body? Like, how am I feeling mentally? Like, what is going on in my life right now? What could I be working on? What am I excited about? Like, it doesn't all have to be releasing negative stuff. It can be focusing on positives. Like, meditating and visualization is one of the most powerful things that you can do. So, visualization is an incredible tool where you actually imagine you are your future self. And I do this every single day, normally like about half an hour before I go to bed. I'll listen to an audio. And it might be a guided audio, it might be a sort of frequency. If you search for positive frequencies, manifestation frequencies on YouTube, you'll get loads that come up. And I listen to that audio and I think to myself, okay, what does my future look like? And I'm picturing normally sort of 5 years' time, once I've achieved all of the goals on my goals list. I imagine how I'm showing up. I imagine what my life looks like, what the house looks like. What does my daily practice look like? Like, what am I doing? What am I wearing? Who am I with? Like, how am I experiencing life every single day? What does it look and feel like? And you actually, when you visualize that, because our brains are taking in all this information all the time, the more you visualize that future vision of what you have, your brain will start to look for opportunities and prompts and anything in your life in reality that are going to help you to bring that vision to your reality. And it is such a powerful tool. It's like the car theory of when you say to yourself, okay, I really want to get that car, your brain is then looking for clues to make that happen. So it will start noticing that type of car, even in the same color everywhere. So if you can tell your brain and feed your brain as much of this stuff as you possibly can and visualize what your life looks like how you're living, how you're showing up, what everything looks like, how it feels, your brain is going to start to look for clues and evidence that you're actually already doing some of those things, or this is what you could be doing, or this is an opportunity that's going to allow you to bring that vision to a reality. So that is a really powerful tool. If you're not doing it already, just give it a try and let me know how you get on with it because it's incredible. Um, and the reason doing these kinds of practices to strengthen your intuition and to trust it a lot more is it actually stops you to overthink. It stops you overthinking every decision that you're making and second guessing, asking too many opinions of other people and feeling stuck. And it allows you to start trusting your own inner intuition. Your intuition knows what you should be doing. Nobody else can actually tell you that. So when you're giving your power away to somebody else, asking them to tell you what you should be doing next, what's your next move, or is this right, is this wrong? You know the answer if you actually allow yourself the space to think about it and ask yourself, even if it means maybe looking in the mirror and asking. You already know the thing that is holding you back right now is you're actually overthinking instead of trusting your own gut. Now, the magic of taking fast action on intuition is it stops any doubt creeping in because like I said, our brains are wired to actually focus on the negatives. So if you get these amazing ideas that literally like pop into your head, these light bulb moments, roll with it, take an action, put something out there, maybe you need to make a date for it, whatever it looks like, move quickly before any doubt creeps in. So I had an intuition, I had a download the other day that was I want to run an in-person event, I want to do a day retreat, and I'm going to do it in September. And it was literally, it pops into my head in like a split second. I was like, okay, before I allow myself time to think about it, I'm going to put it out there. I checked my diary. I saw I had the 18th of September free, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to go with this, and I'm actually going to ask my audience where they would prefer to have it, whether it was going to be Cotswolds or coastal, because I love the countryside, but I also love the coast, and I knew it was going to be one of those two. I knew it was going to be in the UK, and I asked my audience. So I've actually taken action on that download that felt really good in that moment before any doubt crept in about, am I going to fill the spaces? Is it going to work? Who am I going to sell it to? Like, what am I going to sell the ticket prices at? Like, blah, 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 all this noise. And I just put it out there. I said, I'm doing this on the 18th of September. Where should I do it? And I asked my audience. I've got people on the wait list that are interested in coming along to it. And that is purely from mentioning it on Facebook, and I mentioned it to my mailing list. Like, that's it. I've not made a big thing about it. And it meant that I actually took that action before any doubt crept in. And this is what you want to be doing. You want to lean into those nudges without needing to have a full plan. And I think this is where a lot of the time you can overthink things, because we live in a time now where you've got all this noise of you need to have the right strategy. And if you want to launch anything, you need to do an online workshop, and you need to do a challenge, and you need to have 5,000 emails already scheduled out to go. Because otherwise, if you don't do all of these things, you're not going to sell the spaces. It's all noise. It's all noise. Some people sell really well from doing that. Other people can literally put an offer out there without a sales page, without having any emails automated, and it sells. You don't need to have all these things. Stop looking at the externals and the noise telling you how you should or shouldn't do things, and take action based on what feels good to you. Lean into those nudges, and you don't need to have a full plan. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, because if it's aligned to you, if it's right, it will work. It will work out. That is the very first step, is just trusting your gut. The thing with having all of those amazing other things and the funnels and the emails and everything is, that's incredible if you've got a big audience and you do not have the time to be going through multiple DMs and sending out all these separate emails and everything, and you know that your offer's going to sell, and you just want to create that automation that will allow you to scale. Now, one thing that I definitely learned the hard way is I did the scaling before I had really built my kind of brand. So I invested in all of the courses that helped me to create my sales funnels and all of these incredible things. I have had sales funnels from like 6 months into my business, and I've been in business 8 years, nearly 8 years now, as a like fully self-employed. And I had all of the incredible like automations, the systems, the tech, everything to onboard my clients. I've had so many offers out there, and yes, they have sold, but it's been flipping hard work because I hadn't actually built my brand up for people to want to buy into me, because I was listening to all of the noise instead of listening to my gut. In my gut, I knew I didn't actually need all those things to sell. They help you to scale, which is incredible, but I knew I had the energy and the passion and the excitement and the bubbliness that actually, if I just worked on my brand and my own confidence and showed up more as me, that I could sell something off of a live, just put a link in and people would buy it. I didn't need all of this stuff, but I was listening to that noise. So that is the difference between being not necessarily reckless, but just going a bit crazy with it and trusting yourself fully. Like, I now fully trust myself that when I get these downloads, I know they're in alignment to me. I know they feel good and I know they feel exciting. And that is what makes it a magical process when it comes to launching, creating the business that you absolutely love, and just basically living life on your terms, like building your own aligned life. And I think this needs to be talked about so much more. Energetic alignment, your intuition, and your subconscious mind are the most powerful things you can have as a business owner. And I think it is these things that actually cause a lot of businesses to fail because they don't know about them, they don't hear about them, and they focus on all the noise of what they should or shouldn't be doing instead of what feels good to them. If it feels good, it's the right decision. Trust me. I hope you've loved this episode. I know it was quite a lot of information, so if you need to go back and listen to it again, then go for it. I'd love to hear from you. Have you had any strong gut feelings that have led you to an incredible decision, or have you got any gut feelings that have come up recently, maybe even from listening to this particular episode? Drop me a DM, let me know. I'd love to hear, and I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway has been from this episode. If you have really enjoyed this episode, please do leave me a 5-star review and a comment. That would be amazing. I would really appreciate any feedback that you can give on the podcast. And I'll be back for the next episode next week. Have a good day. Speak to you soon. Bye.